may be looking at my face and saying, why is he smiling like a Cheshire cat? That's because a few hours ago, there was a genuine concern that this game may not happen because of, COVID positive cases in the Delhi team. But, well, all is fine. Tests have been done. Everyone is safe. Protocol adhered to. Boxes checked. T's crossed. I's dotted. And here we are on Cricbuzz Live talking about the game that's going to happen between Delhi and Punjab. That's right. That's the game that's happening. Game number 32. I'm Gaurav Kapur. With me, Joy Bhattacharjya and Pommie Mbangwa. Joy, did you have butterflies in your stomach for a second? Were you like, oh my God, this is 12 months ago
correct.
Again?
None of us really want to remember 2021, do we? Especially that part of 2021. So yeah, I had butterflies in my stomach, and there was a football game last night that didn't help with my
Stop it. Stop it.
That didn't
just
help
for
me.
Context. That didn't help you. I'm just giving people some context. I'm a Liverpool fan. Pommie is a Manchester United fan. Moving on, we'll talk about Delhi. That's all. Pommie, see, I'm a brother. I'm not going to say anymore. I'm going to say though that Delhi has won the toss and they have chosen to. Come on, everybody, let's do this together.
1, 2, 3, and field first.
Bowl. That's right. Yes. Game 32 out of 32. Is it part of the ICC charter, BCCI constitution, IPL rules, Pommie, that we don't know about?
I don't know what the deal is, I hope there's no deal, first of all. I hope there's no deal, first of all.
Naughty.
Well, I don't know what the story is with that, in that sometimes the expectation, and we've spoken on this show a few times, where we say, if the surface is really good, we expect that some teams would, they would have a go at batting first and trying to ensure that they don't have to deal with the pressure of runs on the board, and they'd be able to bat their side out of the game. In night games, though, and at Brabourne, I don't think any totals are safe. I say that the previous one that was played there, it was, what a game it was. Team batting first wins, but only just, to more than 200. Was it 217 is nearly chased down. In afternoon games is where I have an issue, where it's not going to change much. You're not going to have dew. You can actually bat a side out the game. But for many teams, I think also it's a fact that they just want to know what they're chasing, and they seemingly are okay with the pressure of having the board kind of go from 10 and over to 11 to 12 to 15 sometimes. And then in that last 4 and 5 overs, they can chase most anything. So, yeah, I hope, though, the trend does get broken.
Yeah, well, we don't know. It's 32 games. We've been thinking about this for a while. We kept saying first half of the tournament, maybe when the pitches slow down a bit. Well, it's not happening right now. But let me tell you what Rishabh Pant said at the toss about the COVID cases in their bubble. He said it's an unfortunate thing. We're not going to think about it. We will find strength among ourselves. That's what he said. And we also have a quote from Ricky Ponting, Joy, and we can have a look at that. He also spoke about arriving at, you have to turn up with a positive. Oh, no, don't use that word, Ricky. No, with a positive attitude. And we have to play well in this game. Games like these, tournaments like these, you need the leaders in the team to stand up. So far in the tournament, Warner's leadership has been great. Rishabh has been good. We have been playing 35, 36 overs of good cricket in a match. That's just 3 or 4 bad overs. Today's focus will be on playing 40 overs of good cricket. Why is he saying that? Joy, I'll just pull that up for you and then you can comment on that. Because for both these teams, there have been a fair bit of inconsistency. If you have a look at them, it's, they promised a lot, but with Punjab, well, at least they've been consistent in their inconsistency. It's win-loss, 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 win-loss. For Delhi, it's win-loss, loss, win-loss. So it's kind of a little different, Joy, but Punjab true to form, aren't they?
True to form, and look, they are a do-or-die team. At this point in time, the way they're structured and the way they're batting, they're saying that our top batsmen are going to go for it no matter, even if we lose up to 3 wickets in the top order, we're going to keep going for the runs. So there are days when Punjab is going to end up 100 for 7. There are days when they're going to end up at 215. And that's how they're going to live and die by that formula. It worked for Owen Morgan with the English cricket team. That's what they tried to do. And I think having their Birmingham Phoenix relationship right now with the way Liam Livingstone is playing, I think they're trying to adapt the same thing. But what it needs, therefore, is for all your batsmen to go hard and come off 80% of the time. Right now, they've come off more often than not. But I think they would also worry a little bit about that inconsistency, especially in the late mid-order.
There's also another thing is that on an average, they are 5 wickets down by the time the death overs begin, Pommie. By the time they've lost 30 wickets in the first 15 overs in their previous matches, which means you're on average of 5 down. I know you do that when you have a lot of hitting power, but a lot of that hitting power at the bottom has not been coming good for them. Otherwise, this could have been a more successful strategy, especially Shah Rukh Khan and Odean Smith. And Odean's not playing today, but from these two, they haven't got that hitting, that big flourish and finish that they have wanted.
Yeah, I genuinely believe that you've got to try and carry through some momentum from the middle overs into the final overs. I think they also are the worst team, and it's no coincidence because of the stats that you've just quoted there. They're the worst team when it comes to the last 5 overs because they're spent by the time they get there. And so it's essentially trying to make sure that they utilize their overs and kind of weigh up, do I smash it, do I not, as we get towards the end because we're running out of batters. So it's a formula, I think, that needs some sort of revision, a tempering, not so much in a go the opposite way, but just calm it down a little bit. They're better players than try and hit the ball out the ground all the time. Livingston can do it, and that's how he bats, and he is really a 6-hitting specialist. So he can go about his business not recklessly, and he hasn't been particularly reckless through the tournament as we've gone. It's a case of, can everybody else play like him? I don't think so. I think everyone has a way that they play, and if they systematically build from front with Shikhar Dhawan, who can get going, and when he does get going and bats a decent amount of time, can even increase in terms of the pace at which he scores. And then you call on all the others to kind of bat what I would call normally, but with the aggressive, here comes the word, attitude, right? So bat with the aggressive attitude, but there needs to be I think a little bit more care taken so that they have resources at the back end. And should they have the resources at the back end, I think they then hurt sides, because the guys they're asking to come and do a 15 off 6 balls, a 20 off 10 balls, are coming in a little too soon, and they're being caught in between. They're not sure, do I go or do I not? And it kind of leaves them. You don't want people undecided, because then it leaves them in no man's land.
Yeah, look, I was also thinking that, one of the other things is, remember, 3 of your top order batsmen have not really in their groove. You look at it, forget, Mayank Agarwal is still not giving you runs. Johnny Bairstow has still not given you runs. And if you look at it, Shah Rukh Khan is still not giving you runs. So really, 3 of your top 6 have not given you runs. Only Shikhar and Lam Livingston has given you value. Where you've got unexpected good values from Jitesh Sharma, who's come in and given you a hell of a lot out there, though he's got just 90 runs. He's given them to you at a strike rate of 175. He's been there. But that they're going to look at Mayank Agarwal and say, if Mayank Agarwal and Bairstow can give me a little bit of more upfront, this is a very dangerous team. Think about it. With all this, with those 3 top batsmen, we are some of the most expensive batsmen. They're captain and retainee, Johnny Bairstow. If these guys, Shah Rukh Khan, who's one of their most expensive guys, if these guys start firing, I'm already 50% without these guys firing. I'm already at even with without these guys firing. These guys give me something good, I'm going to be at a different level altogether. And I think that's what they're looking at. I don't need 6 to 5 because it doesn't happen in cricket. But one more of those guys starts performing on a consistent basis, and this is a very dangerous team.
Yeah, well, they have got the talent. Let's see who they're going in with today. We were wondering when this change would happen because they just weren't getting the returns from Odean Smith. So that change has happened. And of course, one, which is Mayank Agarwal, is fit. So he takes the place of Prabh Simran, who took his place. So this is what it looks like. It's Mayank and Shikhar, then Johnny Bairstow, Liam Livingston, Shah Rukh Khan, Jitesh Sharma, and then they've got 5 proper bowlers there, Pommie, with Nathan Ellis, Kagiso Rabada, Vaibhav Arora, Arshdeep Singh, and Rahul Chahar. And of course, they get a little bit of bowling from Liam Livingston if they need Shah Rukh Khan. But they're going in with 5 proper bowlers there, Pommie.
Yeah, and we'll continue to preach that that's what you want to do. If you can get 5 guys who can bowl and can bowl decently and they're clear in as far as what their roles are, then more often than not, they're going to pull things off for you in with regard to what role they're playing. As Joy says, all that's left, right, is for just somebody to provide some consistency as far as the bat's concerned. We've also got to take into consideration that when you come into a new season, and particularly after the big auction, and people are trying to acclimatize, if I can put it that way, and try and gel as a unit, as a team. Even if guys have been around for a long time and they've played for other franchises, when they turn up in a different franchise, they've got to get accustomed to what they do there, never mind what they did where they were somewhere else. So I think there's all of that goes on, and it's a case of trying to cement your place as well. I mean, let's talk about price tags as well. We're saying Shah Rukh Khan, realized returns or not, and the less a guy scores runs, the less a guy takes wickets, the more that kind of gnaws at him, probably at the back of the guy's mind, but it is there. And it's something that they're going to deal with. So teams that start off okay and can manage to sort of bumble along and get some victories and retain the same sort of personnel, not too much change, allow those people in the team to acclimatize, to adapt to what's happening, and to get their game together. And then you kind of reap the rewards of that much later in the tournament.
Mm-hmm. Let's have a look at what the Delhi team is. Remember, COVID positive cases there, 6 of them. Has that made any difference to the 11 they're putting on the park? Well, just the one change. They've got Sarfaraz Khan in because Mitch Marsh, tested COVID positive, is in hospital. So we hope he's recovering well. Meanwhile, the team looks like this. There's Prithvi Shaw, David Warner, Sarfaraz Khan, Rishabh Pant. Robin Powell retains his place. Lalit Yadav. And then, of course, that bowling lineup, Akshar Patel and Shardul Thakur, giving you stuff with the bat as well. And then there's Khalil, Kuldeep, and the Fizz. Joy, well, the other bad news for them is there's still no Nokia.
Still no Nokia, where they have 3 international players. They can fill in a 4th. So that means you're telling me that Khalil Ahmed is being preferred. I mean, I can understand Shardul Thakur because he gives you the bat.
No, he's not fit. I think he's still not fit, right? I mean, he pulled up in that one game, which means he's not fit. And they're just obviously not confident enough to play him. He's not 100% yet.
Yeah, and I think he's a confidence kind of bowler. When he's fit and he's in rhythm, he's a fantastic bowler. But the moment somebody like Nokia loses, so Nokia is a very much you miss, I hit kind of bowler. He'll give you those straight lengths up front, or he'll give you, hard lines where the ball is a little high. You can't force it off the back foot because he's got that pace. He's got that 150 odd pace. When he's bowling, that same ball at 140 is a very different proposition. He's not a Bhuvaneshwar Kumar who's going to trick you out or, give you a little bit more subtle swing. So that's the problem. When guys like that are not fit, it's very difficult to play them. They're like Ferraris. They're very finely tuned. You knew them perfectly fit to play a guy like Nokia. Nokia's a bit off. He just looks terrible.
Yeah, well, Pommie, the thing is, for the Delhi management, when it came to the retentions, it was really the devil's choice, right? What do you do? Do I go with Rabada? Do I go with Nokia? I mean, you're probably thinking with that kind of talent, you just shut your eyes and throw a dart and say, I'll just pick whoever it lands on because both are amazing. But right now, Delhi's looking at Punjab and saying, you picked the wrong guy. Not that you can predict injuries and recovery, but they must be thinking, oh man, we let that guy go. He's taking a wicket every game for Punjab.
Yeah, and it's not as if he wasn't taking a wicket every game for them either. He's particularly good for them, and I think it's maybe this is the beauty of.
He was doing more than one. He was doing more than one, almost 1.5.
I was baffled. I must be honest. I was baffled that they would let him go. I genuinely was. So, and as difficult as the choice was, if you had to choose between Rabada and Nokia at Delhi, you kind of look through the body of work and you say, what has this guy done in our team and what does he enable us to do? Who was here first and who was here and doing stuff without the other? And can this one do stuff without this one? I think that's how you kind of got to look at things. And Rabada, it doesn't matter which team he plays in. He's one of those players who you can utilize up at the top. You can utilize him in the middle. You can utilize him at the back end. In terms of just a package, he's the full package. When it comes to Nokia, pace to burn, and decent control, but you always know that he could go for heaps of runs. You always do it. Everybody knows that, right? And I think just like at Mumbai, where Bolt and Bumrah worked together, at Delhi, Rabada and Nokia worked together. And so to break that up, it's difficult to replace, to then say, okay, who's going to hold things quite nicely here whilst I kind of let my tearaway loose? And not to say the other isn't a tearaway either, they were both tearaways. But yeah, I think it was an interesting choice. And I don't know why they'd have made it. I mean, they obviously had sufficient thought and so forth to say, okay, no, not that one, we'll go with the other one. But I was very surprised that they didn't keep him.
I think the problem was just that they couldn't retain him, because what happened with them was they had Rishabh as their captain, so he had to be retention 1. Okay, so they put him at 16. After that, they go and they say that we want a sort of all-rounder, bowling all-rounder. They put Akshar Patel at 9. So remember, they retained Nokia at 6.5 crores. And I think if Rabada had given the choice, I don't think they could have retained him above the 3rd place. So they would have Rabada would have turned around and said, you know what, 7.5, even if he's getting as much money as Prithvi Shaw, Rabada would have said, you know what, with 2 new teams coming in, I'd probably go for a little bit more in the auction. And I think that's what happened. They would have wanted to keep Rabada, but he would have just looked at the price and say, hey, it's a great offer. I love you guys, but I think I can make a little bit more in the market. Because
I'm actually going to the Cricbuzz app. I'm trying to figure out who bid or who went how far for him, for Rabada.
There have been many suitors. I mean, it's coveted. I mean, absolutely every team will want it, and there's no question about that. Absolutely. And I think that's great insight, actually, Joy, to say because of the capping and the placement of, number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4 retention, and the differences in salary in those various brackets, it means that you can't take a guy who is a first pick or, number 1 or number 2 pick and try and pick him as a number 4 or a number 3, because then the sums don't add up for him. As you say, goes into...
Yeah, but you can, just to add to that, Joy, there are teams that have kind of broken that, right? They're saying, you're a 3rd retention, but you're allowed to, because Gujarat had 2 first drafts, right? They've got both Hardik and Rashid at 15. You deduct that from your purse. So if you are going after a player, and they went after him till 7.75, did DC, and Rabada sold for 9.25, so the delta is not that much. They could have, if they wanted to. I'm sure if they did a deal for, 9 crores, 8.5 crores, I don't know. Maybe Rabada would have gone for it. Won't go for 6, but maybe at 9 he could have. This is speculation. None of us know what happened.
No, absolutely. I mean, Rashid also is the same case. Rashid just looked at it and said, I'll make the numbers better elsewhere. And with Rashid, it was clear with Sunrisers that, he knew he wanted to be a 1 or 2 pick. He wouldn't be wanting to retain anything lower than that at 16 or 15. And they knew Williamson would be retained that much. So, it's quite possible. You're right. They could have made him an offer at about 10, 12, what made say, okay, 12, 2nd pick and get Rabada in. Somewhere, we don't know exactly what the calculation was. But Rabada might not have gone for 6, but could they have paid him more? And it's something Delhi will be thinking about much more than us. Their executives will be looking at these numbers and wondering how did this
go? They can't think about it anymore. They got to move on. It's too late. It's gone.
They just need to get Nokia fit, right? Because what's happening is that they are suffering some terrible luck with the international picks. Terrible luck in the case of Mitchell Marsh. Got injured in Pakistan, then came and then has got COVID. Then, of course, with Andrik Nokia, played just the 1 game, bowled 2.5 overs, and, got hurt again. And then with Robin Powell, they're just not getting anything out of him. So they're a little stuck, Pommie.
Yeah, I mean, with Nortje, he hasn't played cricket for ages. I mean, absolute ages. He's just had this hip injury for a long, long time. With Mitchell Marsh, I don't know what it is. Mitchell Marsh and IPL just can't, just can't seem to get going. And he's a good player. I mean, everybody will go back to, the ICC Cricket World Cup, and they'll say, "What? I mean, that's what you're buying when you're going to the auction. That's exactly what you're buying." And what you're getting, and guys had one goal, of course, but what you're getting is not the same. And you have a compressed period in which you need a guy to come to the fore to give you the returns. Perhaps if it's not this time, it could be next time if there's a better sort of run up to the tournament. But I don't know. Robin Powell's a good player, and he's been in good touch. He's been in good touch for the West Indies. So it's a bit of a surprise. I don't know if maybe he needs to go further down the order, maybe sort of bat at like 6 and come in to try and whack it. Even saying that, I don't think that's the kind of play he is. Where he is what he does. He kind of gets in, builds, and then explodes at the back end. It's just not working. Sometimes it just doesn't work. A guy doesn't get a start, and that's that. And many a time you'll hear batters say, "Well, you can't tell me whether I'm in form or not in form because I'm walking in, I'm getting the first bowler and the second bowler, I'm facing 5 balls. That's it." So you can't actually tell, So it's a case of being a waiting game. Give us something, please.
Yeah, they're not getting in from Powell. They're just not getting anything from number 3, I think. They've tried a few things at number 3. You have, other teams that are having the number 3 issue as well. We spoke about Lucknow yesterday. They're having a number 3 issue. Delhi's having a number 3 issue as well. They've played a lot of players over there. As you can see, captain has played there. Mitchell Marsh, Powell, Mandeep Singh. I still think the captain should be playing there, Joy.
Yeah, they don't have any option because there's nobody else in that batting order who has the chops to play at number 3. I think their basic problem is they don't want number 3 to walk in. They don't want Rishabh Pant to walk in the 4th over, the 5th over. I think once it's past the 7th, 8th over, they're happy with Rishabh Pant walking in at 3. But if they lose that early wicket, they'd rather protect him a little bit longer, I think. And I think they can do that. I think their team has enough depth to be able to do that. They have 2 excellent openers. They've got nothing there. Look, Mandeep is definitely a holding player. I really genuinely feel it may be, I'm not worried. I'm not sure about the attitude issue, but somebody needs to give Sarfaraz a 5-match run, a 6-match run. Yeah. Sarfaraz is an explosive player. Sarfaraz is one of the most frightening players. And I've seen him in the nets. He has timing, he has everything. Just not come off, And I just want to go back to Mitch Marsh. It's so funny. I remember sitting in the IPL auction table in 2011. And Pune Warriors, the coach was Jeff Marsh. And they picked Mitch Marsh. And he's this, after Sean Marsh, he's the next big thing. And for 11 years, we waited in the IPL to see the best of Mitch Marsh. We've never seen it. He's performed everywhere else in a World Cup T20 final, but just doesn't do it for us.
Just happens. I tell you, that's just how the cookie crumbles. Yes, there's some crumbling cookies today as well, because we're going to see who the cookie crumbles for, Kuldeep or Chahar, because I think it's fair to say that I don't think India's going to make the Yuzi Chahal mistake that they made in the 2021 World Cup. I think you can print his boarding pass already. I think he's definitely going to be there. They might just be looking for who goes with him. And I feel like the 2 front runners in that race are playing today for opposite teams for me. There's Kuldeep and there's Chahar. Kuldeep, with whom he's had a fabulous partnership. I mean, they're called Kulcha. Or Chaku, depends what do you want to call them. And of course, there's Rahul Chahar the other side. This is going to be very interesting. I'm loving the Kuldeep Yadav resurgence in this tournament in this Delhi jersey.
So what you're saying is, are we going to have Kulcha or Chacha? That's what you're saying.
It could be Cha-cha-cha.
Well played.
Yeah, well done.
This is what you're saying. Look, the one thing that we can say about India, and it doesn't matter which format we're talking about, is that there are always these wonderful spinners about. That's just how it is. In fact, It's gone from that to there are always these wonderful players all over in just about every position. That's what's happened now, right? And so we shouldn't just go, so and so's gonna be there and so and so's not gonna be there, and these are the only ones who are vying for a position, because this tournament shows us all the time that we get players that pop up, get a position in their team, whatever their franchise is, and if they can grab a hold of that position and do a job, then they basically make it a scenario where you can't not select them, right? And yes, these three guys are the ones who are right up at the forefront. They just have to show us some form, show the selectors the form, and do the job for their respective teams and see what happens at the end. And as far as whether they have three spinners or not, Jadeja, is he a spinner or is he not a spinner? You know, there's a question. I'm just throwing it out there as a question.
Yeah.
So there's
he's
one.
your foremost all-rounder right now.
But do you know what I'm saying? So,
yeah,
and you're
absolutely.
going to play the game in a country where the wickets are nice and true and not going to turn that much, and your blood. So, yeah, there are lots of decisions to be made, and essentially, I hope their eyes are on their franchises and not on the blue jersey of India, because that should take care of itself if they take care of whatever needs to happen in their franchises.
Joy, are you liking this little resurgence of Kuldeep in Delhi colors? Because I'm loving it.
I'm a huge fan. He started in KKR with us the first season. Just an amazing, and that's it. He's a confidence bowler. He needs guys to give him confidence. When he gets confidence and the captain tosses it to him and says, doesn't matter, go for runs. Kuldeep is a bowler who will flourish in Australia because the grounds are bigger. He gets bounce. And the kind of action he has, he gets bounce, and it gives you something a little bit different. If you see Chair tends to drag it a bit, So he's better. I think he's a more restrictive bowler. But if you're going to take Kuldeep to Australia, you're not going to take him and say restrict, because that's not going to work. You're going to go and tell him attack, go and take wickets. We've got protection. These are 80-meter boundaries. Give them your best. Let's see what happens. You're going to get a few top edges. You're going to get a few wickets up front. I think he'll do really well there. And I'm so glad to see him. Forget about whether he goes to Australia. He's a quality player. To see a quality player in a left arm, not Chinaman is not the right term anymore. To see a left arm leg spin at the top of his game is just so exciting for the game. So exciting for the top.
Yeah. Yes, just to put that in again to people, no, you don't call them a Chinaman anymore. You call them a left arm wrist spinner if you must, or a left arm leg spinner, as Joy just said. So that's what you do. Well, good to see him do well.
Can I make this point, guys, as we leave, about Kuldeep, and I too am happy that he's back. I think you're a better bowler having sorted out the wounds, the hurt, having the scars of battle, of failure. When you come back from that, there is an understanding of what has happened. And you know what? Nothing worse can happen. So yes, you can lose form, but so what? You've done it before. It's happened. And you're back. And he's back. And what was particularly impressive was having been whacked over number one, given over number two, to say, here's the guy who's whacked you. Come on, get into a scrap with him. Have the battle. Try and win the battle for us. He won the battle and he was in the game. That's how it works. And if you can get the opportunity to have the fight again, you know that you're going in again and you want to come out as the guy on top. For spinners, they've got to be tough, man. And they really have to be tough. In Australia, as Joy says, the fields are bigger. So it's a bit more of a fair fight. I like that.
You know that there's two scrappers there who are going to make Kuldeep scrap. It's the two RPs, Ricky Ponting and Rishabh Pant. They're getting the best out of Kuldeep. All right, the joy factor question always gets the best out of all of you, gets the brain ticking. I don't know what that means, so I'll leave it with Joy.
Okay, this is one I think Pommie love it. It's perfectly there. Which cricket team has had 4 legends of the game play for it? Wasim Akram, Shane Warne, Dale Steyn, and Malcolm Marshall. All have played for one cricket team. Which cricket team is that? And I think I mean, you can't think of a better lineup of, if they look at their history, what a lineup of bowlers.
The Sussex Sunshines. I don't know. Just made that
Sounds
up.
good. Sounds very, very good. I won't say anything.
It's like a good one.
Neither will I.
Neither will you, Pommie. Of course you won't.
Hashtag Cricbuzz Live, hashtag Joy Factor. Send in your questions. And also want to tell you about Joy's really cool new show called Retro Reels on Cricbuzz Plus. So do subscribe and sign up to that. And Joy, I'll give you 20 seconds to sell this week's episode. Come on, get your elevator pitch. Come on.
No, nothing. I just want to tell you that there was a time when Hitler, this is Hitler's birthday today, and Hitler just was so close to getting into the Vienna Academy of Art. And they showed his paintings recently to an expert, and they said that, what he deserved to get in. And if Hitler had got into the Vienna Academy of Art, maybe the history of the 20th century would have been very different. Because he got really frustrated because they didn't accept him as a portrait painter, and he decided to found the Nazi party. So, well.
I was not ready for that.
Oh, is that all it would have taken?
Yeah,
Oh,
just give him admission. And that's all they needed to do. These profs, I tell you, they spoil the world for us.
I was
Professor.
not ready for that. Professori. Okay, we're going to start with the Professori now. Give us your score prediction. 20 overs.
178.
What is Punjab going to get? 170 at Prabhu?
178. Yep.
Oh, look at you. 178.
Okay. I'll go 189.
I was trying to go somewhere in the middle, so I will go 178, 189. I'll go 184, smack in the middle. All right? Let's sit smack in the middle. All right, those are our guesses. We'll see you at the end of the 10th over is where we'll be. Cricbuzz Combox. So do join us then. This is all we have for you on Cricbuzz Live right now. Big thank you to Joy and Pommie. I'm Gaurav Kapur. We'll see you in a bit on Cricbuzz.